Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are unpacking an absolutely wild, frankly unexpected technological pivot. You know Midjourney, right? The powerhouse AI lab that whips up those stunning digital images from text prompts? Well, their founder, David Holz, just announced their second major product. And get this, it's not software. It is entirely physical. We're talking about a medical full-body scanner. It's a massive shift. So let's break down exactly what this thing is, how the physics actually work, and the incredibly ambitious vision behind the whole shebang.
So why on earth is an AI art company building a full-body scanner? Look, if you're feeling a bit of cognitive dissonance right now, trust me, you are not alone. A generative AI company suddenly taking a massive leap into the heavily regulated flesh and blood world of physical medical hardware? It sounds crazy. It totally begs the question of why. But as we'll see, the answer really lies in a desire to build brand new infrastructure that fundamentally changes how we capture human health data. But before we get to that overarching philosophy, we really need to understand the science.
Because, believe it or not, this wild announcement is actually grounded in rigorous, peer-reviewed science. The inspiration and the physics behind this new hardware are beautifully illustrated right here in a recent paper from Nature Biomedical Engineering. The core concept? Whole cross-sectional human ultrasound tomography. Basically, researchers have been trying to figure out how to do CT or MRI-style cross-sectional imaging, but doing it strictly using ultrasound. And that is the exact technological foundation that Midjourney is trying to scale up and commercialize.
Okay, so what exactly is the Midjourney scanner? Technically, it's a full-body ultrasonic CT system. But what does that mean for you? Well, unlike an X-ray or a traditional CT scan, there is zero ionizing radiation, none. And unlike an MRI, there are no massive claustrophobia-inducing magnets. Instead, picture this. It relies on a 70-centimeter diameter ring. You're actually immersed in water, which acts as a coupling agent, and the machine uses sound waves traveling through that water to map your internal structures in full 3D. Because there's no radiation involved, the big idea here is that you can do this safely and often.
Now, to actually pull this off, the physical engineering has to be absolutely staggering. Let's look at some of the claimed specs for this prototype. Because sound waves travel through water at roughly 1,481 meters per second, the sensors packed into that 70-centimeter ring are capturing a mind-boggling amount of information. We are talking about a data capture rate of 17 gigabytes per second. Just pause and think about that for a second. 17 gigabytes. That is literally a torrent of raw acoustic data flooding out of the scanner every single second. And all that massive data flow brings us to the next huge hurdle, the computation. Because, you don't just magically get a picture from those sound waves. You have to digitally reconstruct the whole thing. To process that 17 gigs a second, Midjourney claims they're running a cluster of 21 servers purely dedicated to image reconstruction, pumping out 2 petaflops of computational power. That is a monumental amount of localized compute required just to translate those raw underwater echoes into something a human or an AI can actually look at and understand.
Which naturally brings us to the total data footprint. Get this, a full scan generates a claimed 806 terabytes of raw data. To put that into perspective for you, just a single horizontal slice of the human body requires about 40 gigabytes of data. 40 gigs for one slice. This completely explains why they have to rely on cloud processing. The on-site computers handle the streaming and compression, sure, but the sheer enormity of that raw scanner data absolutely requires serious back-end infrastructure to store and analyze.
So what's the ultimate goal with all this data? It's all about the target resolution. The system claims it can resolve internal tissue details down to about 0.5 millimeter. 0.5 millimeters? And the mechanical lift moving you through that ring? It operates at about 4 centimeters per second. So Midjourney's stated goal is to eventually capture several hundred of these ultra-high-resolution slices in just 60 seconds. Imagine that! A fast, sub-millimeter, completely radiation-free 3D map of your entire body in a minute.
Okay, let's bump the brakes for a second and look at the current reality. Because what they have right now is very much a Gen 1 prototype. It's being built by a tiny, scrappy team of about 9 people. And so far, only about a dozen individuals have actually been scanned. Plus, because the system is still heavily bottlenecked by bandwidth, digital signal processing, and, early prototype data transfer limits, a scan currently takes about 20 minutes, not 60 seconds. Oh, and perhaps the most surprising part of all this, David Holz explicitly noted that they aren't even using AI for the images they've shown yet. Zero AI. Right now, it is pure physics and algorithmic reconstruction.
Now, here is where the story pivots from pure engineering into a totally radical consumer deployment strategy. Think about the traditional route for medical imaging. You've got hospitals waiting on doctor referrals, getting shoved into loud, cold magnetic tubes for long anxiety-inducing sessions. It's awful. Midjourney's proposed route. They are leasing a 25,000 square foot, 4-story facility near Union Square in San Francisco. Literally, they are building a spa. Because the ultrasound requires you to get wet anyway, they're just wrapping the medical device in hot tubs, saunas, cold plunges, and a gym. It's wild. They're trying to completely recontextualize the entire experience of getting a medical scan.
And that overarching philosophy is captured perfectly in this quote from David Holes. He said he wants it to be as powerful as an MRI, as casual as a trip to the spa. He doesn't want scanning to feel like a doctor's office visit. The intention is that the spa itself is the desirable part, right? With the scanner just being a nice added benefit while you're there. By making the environment actually pleasant, they're hoping to encourage a completely different consumer behavior around medical imaging.
And this all builds into a massive, long-term vision for healthcare. Midjourney isn't just trying to build one single spa. Their stated moonshot is a fleet of 50,000 scanners capable of doing 1 billion scans per month. 1 billion! This enables Step 1, frequent, like daily or weekly personal health tracking. Step 2 is starting with the easier metrics, things like body composition. Step 3 is really the holy grail here, preventative medicine. By doing longitudinal sub-millimeter differential tracking, which just means comparing your scans over time, they hope to catch weird changes in your body super early. And finally, Step 4, bringing AI in for a first-pass analysis of those changes.
So this brings us to the absolute crucial point, the grand bet. Why is an AI lab doing all of this? Because to actually revolutionize healthcare, AI needs fast, rich, and cheap bodily data. Holtz argues that the future isn't just about training better AI models on text or images, it's about building entirely new physical infrastructure that allows AI to reason over the physical body in real time. This scanner, it's their attempt to build the massive data-gathering pipeline that future medical AI is literally going to rely on. But of course, we need to do a reality check here. Let's take a quick look at navigating the risks, the skepticism, and of course, the FDA.
When we actually contrast the launch claims with medical reality, a few massive things stand out. First, Holes suggested the marginal cost of a scan could be effectively zero. But reality dictates that this completely ignores the massive costs of running the facility, spa staffing, radiologists, strict cleaning protocols, and, San Francisco real estate. Second, while the launch teased thousands of diagnoses, the reality is their initial regulatory path is just body composition. The leap from measuring your body fat to legitimately diagnosing diseases is extremely uncertain. And finally, claiming it's flat out better than an MRI, that's kind of an apples to oranges comparison. Ultrasound and MRI measure entirely different physical properties, and honestly, MRI is still vastly superior in many specific clinical use cases.
And the challenges definitely don't stop there. There is immense FDA regulatory ambiguity right now. The company has started discussions, sure, but making actual diagnostic claims requires rigorous, staged approval. Furthermore, there's currently a total lack of peer-reviewed clinical validation for this specific machine. 0 disease detection benchmarks have been published. Then there's the massive data privacy issue. You are sending incredibly sensitive, highly detailed 3D models of your internal organs to a cloud server. Yikes. There's also the very real medical risk of what they call incidentalomas. If you scan healthy people constantly, you're inevitably going to find harmless anomalies that cause severe anxiety and lead to expensive, totally unnecessary follow-up procedures. And finally, scaling this to thousands of spas would require an estimated $20 billion in upfront capital expenditure.
So what you should really take away from all this is that the engineering demo is undeniably exciting. Pushing the boundaries of whole-body ultrasound tomography could yield absolutely incredible benefits for us all. But the gap between cool full-body images and a safe, reimbursable diagnostic healthcare product, that is the whole ballgame right there. Running a wet spa that doubles as a high-throughput medical facility introduces complexities in infection control, medical liability, and workflow that pure software companies rarely, if ever, have to face.
Which leaves us with this final, really profound question to consider. As the lines blur between generative AI research and physical, flesh and blood healthcare, are we ready for AI labs to build our medical infrastructure? Midjourney is betting the house that the answer is yes, and that cheap, frequent, pleasant body imaging will become our new normal. Whether they can actually navigate the FDA, the economics, and the messy medical realities, well, that remains to be seen. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will see you next time.